What's up, everybody? My name is Jacob Hardison, and today we are going to teach you how to mount your wing. Before we get going here, I do want to note that this tutorial will work for both 1/10 and 1/8 scale vehicles. I'll be using my 8 scale buggy today, but it's going to be the exact same process for a 10 scale vehicle, but it will probably be a little bit easier because 99% of those wings do come from the factory clear, so you won't have to do as much of the tedious work. So let's go ahead and show you what you need, and we'll get into it. The materials you want to have on hand will be a measuring device of some sort, a drill or hand driver with the appropriate bit to mount your wing, a Sharpie, body reamer, the wing, and then of course the vehicle that needs the wing mounted, all of which can be found at adrenalinrcracing.com. All right, so now that we know what we need, let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the distance between my two wing mount holes. So the way we're gonna do that is I'm going to use my fancy caliper here. We're gonna open it up, and then we are going to measure to the center point of each of these. Now it's very important to measure the center point because that's where the screw is gonna sit. If you use the widest measurement between these two holes, for example, we put our caliper down in and we just stretch it as far as possible and then use that as our measurement, that's actually the very, very outside measurement. So that won't mount your wing. You wanna be as center as possible. So a way you can do that is with my wing mount, for example, and bear with me a little bit, this is kind of an awkward position, but I'll pick the car up. You can see that there are some release mold lines in there that I can actually use to help identify those center points. So we'll set the car back down, take our fancy caliper, and I'm going to measure again to the center points of those screws. So if I put one side on my release mold line and then stretch the other one to the opposing side, we can see that our center point is going to be 40 millimeters apart. Now what you're gonna do with that measurement, we can lock that in. You're gonna take a lovely Sharpie and your wing, and you're going to figure out where that 40 millimeters lines up on your wing. So you can see on the back here, we've got a nice big grid that is going to help identify where to put our mounting holes. So we'll take our caliper and its 40 millimeter measurement, and we're going to see which lines line up with that. So you can start all the way over at the edge and work your way over, and you want to have an even amount of lines on both sides. So for me, 40 millimeters is going to be, it looks like 3 lines in on both sides. So from there, set our caliper down, and we are going to identify line 3 and line 3. So now we have our width set. From here, it is just a matter of figuring out where you want to place the wing, whether it be more forward or rearward biased. For me personally, I will go from the front line here and I'll count 8 back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this is my 8th line here. I'll go to that 3rd line over, and that is going to be my mounting spot. So same thing on this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come over to that 3rd line, identify it, and now we have our mounting holes set. We can put our Sharpie away, and then from here, you'll take your body reamer, unsheath it, expose the point, and all you're gonna do is you're going to drill this out to whatever size you need. So for me, for example, my wing buttons have this offset to them, this kind of bushing per se. So I need to make sure that I drill this out enough to where this fits perfectly inside. Now, if you don't have one of these, it's just the screw size that you need to do. You're only going to drill this hole out large enough to fit this screw in. Any larger than that, and you'll end up with a wing that kind of can move around, and that's no fun. Now, I do want to give one heads up here, is that even if you do measure these perfectly, with some wing mounts, they can over time develop some misalignment, I guess you could say. And if they are misaligned, sometimes these holes aren't going to be perfect, but they should be close enough to where you can get the wing mounted onto the car itself. If you have a brand new wing mount, then in theory, that shouldn't matter at all because it should be perfectly in line. But from here, all I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna take my body reamer, go to that point, start my hole on one side, flick it over, and I'll start my hole on the other side. From here, this wing is technically ready to be mounted. So all you would do is you put your wing buttons on and then thread it into the car itself. Now for me personally, I'm going to drill some holes in the back here, but I'm not going to go over what each of those do just yet. I'm gonna do that in a separate tuning video that we go over everything that adjusting your wing will change on the car. So from here, once you've done whatever tuning options you want, just take your wing buttons, put those into my wing, and then I do use a wing riser, so I'll set that on the car itself. And then from here, it's just a matter of screwing in our wing. And there you have it. That is how you're going to mount your wing. This is going to work again for 10 scale and 8 scale vehicles. And this will help you get your car ready to go with a nice, fresh, clean wing. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and we look forward to seeing you for another new video. Have a good one.